If you grew up as an athlete or a sports fanatic in the same era when I did, you'll no doubt remember Jim McKay's iconic opening to ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition.
In the next few minutes, I want to share 5 reasons from practical to profound for why I think every adult, and especially those of us over 50, should compete. You may feel like, I don't have time. This doesn't have to take more time than what we already should be investing in physical activity. Or you may be concerned that you're not good enough at something and you don't want to be humiliated, which is natural. And yet, at this age, with our perspective, it's no longer about winning or losing. It's about the experience of putting ourselves out there. When I hung up my tennis rackets after college, I was pretty certain that my competitive days were over. Like most people who are high school or college athletes, I didn't have elite skills that it was an option that I could ever go pro. And so my 20s and my 30s and my 40s were spent building my career, spending time with my family. And then 2 years ago, when I discovered pickleball, I got back into tournament play. And I never would have imagined or expected how wonderful and life-changing this experience could be. And whether your passion is swing dancing or martial arts or pickleball, I believe that the transformative power is the same. A practical reason to sign up for a competition is that it's a motivator for exercise, or for me, a kick in the butt to get off the couch. When I was in my 40s, I participated in several triathlons. And I say participate because they were not competitions for me. I am slow at each of the 3 disciplines, swimming, biking, and running. But I entered in part because I was inspired by one of my friends and her husband who had done an Ironman. And I went to cheer them on and was just enchanted by the energy of the event. And I also realized that if I sign up for an event 4 to 6 months down the road, it's motivation for me to get the training in so that I can stay alive. Even though I did check off one bucket list event in doing a full Ironman, I primarily chose medium length events because the amount of training for each translated to a reasonable amount of biking, swimming, or running each week. And I can't claim that I ever enjoyed the training. I never once regretted having completed a workout, but it was never something I looked forward to. But the underlying motivator was always there because I knew that I wanted to be able to get to the finish line. I didn't have to rock it. I just wanted to get to the finish line. Now that I'm playing pickleball and I have something that I'm really passionate about, I'm still not motivated to exercise, but I can get myself downstairs to the basement gym to ride the stationary bike and watch pickleball videos or do some strength training, which on any given day, I'd be really reluctant to do, even though it's healthy and it's good for me. And I know these things. I haven't changed from when I was 8 years old and my mom said, eat your broccoli because it's healthy. Yeah, that's still not a compelling argument. But wanting to have my endurance in place for a tournament, wanting to have more power on my serves, that is a big motivator. Because I'm competing in pickleball, not just playing it recreationally, it sets a larger goal for me. And because of that, what would otherwise be exercise takes on a different meaning. It's allowed me to redefine exercise and workouts as training for pickleball competition. Along the same lines of being able to redefine exercise as training, competing again has helped me redefine how I look at myself. When I competed in triathlons, I didn't think of myself as a triathlete because I knew that I wasn't actually competing. I had no chance of winning. I had no interest in winning. That would be miserable to try to do a triathlon at your absolute fastest. Ugh. And the choice to adopt an identity is different for everyone. I have friends who enjoy writing, and yet they don't call themselves writers. And I have friends who play instruments like guitar and piano, but they don't consider themselves musicians. But it's completely our choice. Now that I'm registering for tournaments and putting myself back into that competitive environment in pickleball, I see myself as an athlete again. I see myself as a competitor, as a warrior. And that shift in our mental model of ourselves can help affect healthy aging. Studies that have looked at masters athletes, so people who compete in sports beyond about the age of 40, they've found that one of the motivating factors, especially for women, is to challenge stereotypes. We know that our culture has stigma and stereotypes for a lot of different things, but the stereotype of aging is of becoming frail and weak and dependent, losing function. And there's evidence to show that if someone believes that that's part of the aging process, if they believe that deterioration is an inevitability, then they're more likely to actually live into that. They're more likely to develop chronic diseases and have earlier mortality. On the flip side, people who have a positive attitude toward aging tend to be healthier when they look at this longitudinally over years and live longer. So in the same way that I'm able to redefine exercise as training, I now see myself not as someone who gets my weekly workouts in, but as someone who is an athlete. I'm a competitor again. A third reason to consider competing is that it will broaden your social connections. If you really think about it, once we're in our 40s, definitely in our 50s and 60s, we don't meet new people very easily unless we do something major, like move to a different city or start a new job. And pickleball itself is a hugely social sport. I've met a lot of people locally, regionally from playing, and yet traveling to tournaments and especially participating in the NPL this year, I literally have met hundreds of people across the country and globally. And I had teammates this year from Singapore and from Australia. Traveling can certainly get expensive. So to compete, you can do it locally or regionally to events that you can drive to. Here in the Pacific Northwest, I've been in tournaments where friends have come down from Canada, they've come over from the Midwest and come up from California. So I've been able to very much broaden the pickleball circle of friends that I have. And the benefit for that, not only that I've mentioned before and will continue to mention, is that having more social interactions, having broader social connections has been shown to decrease our risk of dementia and improve longevity, but it also widens the pool of potential partners for future tournaments. A fourth reason to compete is for the competition itself, and not the winning and losing part of competition, but competing with yourself. Researchers that have looked at the motivations of masters athletes, like I mentioned before, have shown that it's self-challenge, it's seeing incremental growth, and to see changes over time, to see effort translate into successes, however they choose to define it. In pickleball in particular, one of the motivations that was identified among older adults is the opportunity for mastery in something. And it's important as we get older, as we reach retirement, to have pursuits that keep us engaged. Those studies have also shown that wins and losses, winning awards, winning medals is very low on the priority list because at this age, we have experienced much bigger losses of friends, family, relationships. We understand now that losing a match on a pickleball court or losing a close track race is just that. It's just pickleball. It's just a running race, and it's not the bigger losses that will confront us in life. The last, and for me, most meaningful and unexpected part of competing again has been hearkening back to Jim McKay's iconic opening, and that's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Adulting, is more agony than thrill, for sure. Most days we're just focused on checking the boxes of what we need to get done, taking care of our families, doing our jobs. And it's pretty rare that we experience thrill or genuine excitement. I can't think of a single day when I had, even if it was a good day at work, I can't think of a single time where it was high fives all around with my coworkers. Or as a parent, have you ever had a day where your kid said, "Geez, Mom, you really rocked that parenting today. Good job." Or, "Hey, Dad, that advice you gave me last week, that was off the charts. It made a huge difference. Thanks." Yeah, that doesn't happen. But in sports, no matter what your age, you do have those moments. I want to share an experience that happened this year in the National Pickleball League that had never happened to me before, and I doubt that it will ever happen again. Our team score was 6-5, so my partner and I needed to win this match to clinch it for our team, otherwise we would go into a team breaker. More importantly, We were at the cusp of lunchtime, so everybody wanted us to get done and win it just so we could eat and have a little bit of a break. But we lost the first game, we came back and won the second game, and we had a pretty big deficit in the third game. We were down 10-7, so the opponents had several match points, and we were able to rally and get a bunch of points in a row. And here's what happened on match point. In that moment of hugging Dave, I was briefly overcome with emotion. The energy of it had been so charged in a fun way. And I have never in my life been picked up in celebration. And the perspective about losses is the same with perspective about winning. I knew that when I walked out the door of that building, most of the people had no idea what pickleball was, much less what had just happened inside. And yet the energy of that moment, the thrill of victory, I'll never forget it. And we just don't get opportunities like that very often at this age. That's what life is about, experiencing the richness of the ups and downs. It sounds cheesy to hear this come out of my mouth, but competition, at least for me, has made me feel alive again. So think about it. Leave me a note in the comments of what you're going to challenge yourself to do in the next year. Or if you're still reluctant to try, let me know what's holding you back. It's not life or death if we sign up for a dance competition and finish last, or run a 5K and don't meet our PR. I have a hunch that if you put yourself out there, you won't regret it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.